And good morning. Welcome back into the Morning Roundtable here on AM 1320, FM 1013, WKAN. I am your host, the Morning Millennial, Josh Carman. And Jim Byrne is here as well.
Morning.
Second hour here of the Morning Roundtable. It's been busy so far this morning.
Yeah, lots going on.
A lot of stuff happening. We're going to take a look at your forecast before we continue, though. And today, well, it's going to rain mainly this afternoon, and today's high right around 38. Then tonight, more rain, followed by snow. We'll get less than half an inch, and the low will be around 30. Friday, tomorrow, cloudy skies with a chance for snow and a high of 34. Saturday, mostly cloudy, a slight chance for snow showers, high near 35. Sunday, still a chance for snow showers with a cloudy sky and a high of 30. And Monday, which is Martin Luther King Day, should be partly sunny with a high near 30. It is fair right now, 32 degrees at the Greater Kankakee Airport, and you're up to date with the weather here on the Morning Roundtable. And it's that time once again, our monthly visit with Chad Miller over at the Kankakee County Farming Bureau. He's the manager there. Good morning, Chad. How you doing?
Good morning, Josh. Good morning, Jim. I'm doing great. How about you guys?
Good.
Oh,
Good to
doing
see you.
great.
Happy New Year.
Yeah, Happy New Year to you guys, too. We're looking forward to a better 2021 than we had last year.
I don't know. Remember, 2020 started with impeachment, now 2021. So,
Oh, boy.
yeah.
Buckle in.
You better believe it.
So really quick, last time we spoke to you was right for Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
So you have a good holiday?
Yes, I did. Yeah. I've got 3 young kids and 8, 7, and 3 years old. So, yes, obviously Christmas time for them is extremely exciting. And I think they had a good Christmas, and we got to see some family and friends. And I took some time off between Christmas and New Year's, which was great to recharge the battery and reconnect with family and friends. And but now we're back at it. Had a great holidays, but now we're back in the thick of things. This time of year, farmers aren't planting or harvesting or maintaining their crops. So this is the time of year that we get together and do some planning and have some meetings. But as you know, due to COVID, a lot of that is happening in an alternate world, but virtual world. But yeah, we had a great holidays. How about you guys?
Oh, yeah. It was
great.
nice. Yeah. I also took some time off, too, from here at the radio station to recharge. So
Holiday's nice.
Yeah, it's very nice. So I kind of wish it would have stuck around a little bit more because you come out of the holidays and then you get the news at the first week of 2021. It's like, oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So, but you brought a guest here in the studio, but he's been on the program before. Greg St. Aubin, local farmer from Manteno.
Yes, thank you, Greg, for coming with us today.
Hey, good morning, everybody.
Yeah.
Good morning, Josh, Jim.
Yeah, good
Chad,
morning.
thanks for having me.
Yeah, awesome to have you on. And there is a specific reason why you're on the show today. And why is that, Chad?
Well, at the end of our December Kankakee County Farm Bureau board meeting, Keith Mussman stepped down as president. As we talked about here when we were on the air in December, Keith Mussman was elected to be on the Illinois Farm Bureau board representing Kankakee County, Ford, Iroquois, and Livingston counties. So being elected to the IFB board, Keith stepped away from his leadership position here at the Kankakee County Farm Bureau to free up some time. And Greg St. Aubin is our vice president, so now he's acting president. So we brought Greg along to talk a little bit about that. And then obviously there's some other things that are going on the farm now, maintaining of machinery, doing a lot of bookkeeping, planning out next year's crops you're going to plant in the field. And then also farmers this time of year are doing a lot of marketing of their grain. I talked to one farmer last night that said, compared to marketing, compared to growing the crops is the easy part. Marketing your grain to lock in a profit, now that's the tough part, especially with the roller coaster, not to sound cliche, but the ups and downs of the market the last year have really made it hard for farmers to market their grain. But so this time of the year, farmers are really focused on looking at the new crop prices for next year. They're already on the books, so farmers can look at the crop prices that they might sell the fall 2021 crops for versus the cash crop prices now. And there's a big gap there between the new crop prices and the cash prices now. And so it's a difficult thing. But I'll let Greg talk a little bit more of that because he's the one that's doing it.
Sure.
I'm more second hand or third hand from that. But so yeah, a lot of stuff going on the farm these days. whether you know it or not, the machinery is not moving from field to field like it does in the spring and the fall. But there is a lot of stuff going on the farm these days.
Sure. So, Greg, sorry we didn't bring the band in to play Hail to the Chief.
I noticed more security coming in today. I was wondering what it was about.
Well, congrats on the role.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
Mr. President.
Yeah. So let's talk about the marketing. And how does a local farmer wade through all that?
Well, first of all, most local farmers are very poor marketers, I should say. Like Chad said, growing the crop is what most farmers enjoy. That's when you're getting out and you're doing what you really enjoy and you want to do a good job at growing the crop. Putting the business hat on, put the marketing hat and accounting hat on, it's more difficult. Farmers have a great pride in what they want to do. They don't want to give their product away. And of course, when you're trying to sell in a down market, it makes it more difficult to try and lock in a profit. Now we're seeing some upward tick in the market, and everyone's pretty excited about it. But of course, farmers are maybe a little bit greedy sometimes when the market's going up. They want to hang on, and they don't want to make a sale, but they'll panic as it's trying to go down. Just kind of the nature of the beast. But we've struggled for the last several years with trying to lock in a profit, and obviously farmers have learned an awful lot about how to use their crop insurance and how to use different programs in order to try and make a profit. And hopefully now that we got some good cash prices, that farmers are going to take advantage of either trying to make sure they sell their crop that we just grew back in the fall for this profit, but also looking ahead at the future. Most farmers, they hate to sell their crop that they haven't even put in the ground yet, but right now we've got some good prices for the fall. Not as good as they are right now for the current cash price, but at least they'll be able to lock in a profit. So I guess I would encourage, and I'm doing a little bit of the same thing on my own farm, is to try and sell some of this 2021 crop and lock in a profit. We haven't been able to do that for a while.
Sure. Is there a certain cutoff time when farmers should definitely lock in that price?
You say marketing is kind of an 18-month process. You want to market your grain before you grow it, and a lot of people store their grain for 6-9 months after they've grown it to try and look for this marketing opportunity. But if you can market it throughout that whole thing, kind of get the averages, not hit a home run necessarily, but not strike out either.
All right.
And marketing is just like any other commodity exchange. Marketing your grain, you might have a feel for the market that, hey, today's prices, we're not going to see prices like this in the fall. I better lock in some grain to sell. But you could be wrong. Just like any other commodity market, it could really surprise you, and you could end up, on the losing end. You could lock in the new crop price for 2021 today, and then, if the price goes up, well, you're going to be thinking, hindsight's 2020. You locked in a lower price than what the price would pay that day. But, you've got to use the most information you have at the time to make those decisions and not second guess yourself. But that marketing is a very tough thing to do.
Yeah, and I know Jim and I have talked about this before on the program. But when it comes to the markets, anything really nowadays, and as we saw with, President Trump, he would tweet something and immediately the markets would change. And so, anything could change the market.
Yeah, and we really didn't expect this bump that we had starting last October, and it still carried on through. We really didn't expect that bump in the corn and soybean prices to come up quite as much, but a lot of that's been driven by the dry weather we had here in the U.S. in August. And then South America, which also produces a lot of corn and soybeans, they had dry weather. Ukraine had dry weather. And then, of course, with China buying more of our products, that's all led up to this run-up in the market that we didn't necessarily expect. And it's brought corn and soybean prices up to a level that we haven't seen for years. So it's great to see. But like Greg said, when you see the market prices going in an upward direction, well, do you pull the trigger today or do you wait tomorrow to see if it's gone up even more?
Yeah.
And then tomorrow, who knows? It could nosedive, and then you're kicking yourself for missing that opportunity. So what farmers ought to do, or what I've seen some suggestions for farmers to do, is lock in a portion of their grain, not 100% of their grain for the new crop prices, but consider marketing a portion of their grain, 20% here, 20% there. I did hear a horror story of a farmer a few years ago that locked in close to 100% of their crop, and they had a crop failure. And they were to deliver crop, to deliver grain at a certain price at a certain time, and they didn't have any of it. So they had to buy grain from the market in order to deliver it for a loss. So, things like that can happen. And it,
it's like playing the stock market.
It really is. Just like playing the stock market. It keeps farmers up at night, doing the marketing and then, like we said, the growing of the crop. There's so many unknown variables there too with Mother Nature that it's just a tough business.
Yeah.
Well, and especially this year, even new administration, new policies, trade deals potentially being involved. So it trying to figure out, okay, what the price is now to what next fall. So much is going to happen between now and then. I mean, unless you have a crystal ball, it really makes it tough.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah, with that new presidential administration coming in next week, we do anticipate there's going to be a few regulatory changes that will affect the way farmers carry out their business. I know we've seen surveys time and time again that farmers cite regulatory issues being one of their biggest concerns, that they want to farm. Farmers have made great strides with the technology that they use. I just saw a fact the other day that Illinois farmers have more than doubled their production over the last 60 years while using 11% less of their land. I know every time I'm on, I like to throw some facts and figures and some trivia out there, but let that soak in that Illinois farmers have more than doubled their production in the last 60 years using 11% less farmland. They've just gotten so much more efficient, and a lot of the genetic traits that farmers implement allow farmers to use less inputs, meaning less fertilizer, less herbicides and pesticides. So overall, farmers have doubled their production in the last 60 years while using less things that could affect the surrounding environment. So farmers are making great strides with their environmental care and all the while increasing their production.
Awesome. We're speaking with Chad Miller this morning, Kankakee County Farm Bureau Manager, as well as Greg St. Aubin, local farmer, as well as the acting president of the Kankakee County Farm Bureau. It is 8:21. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be back and continue speaking with these gentlemen right after this. And welcome back into the Morning Roundtable, 8:23 with Josh Carmen and Jim Byrne.
Morning.
And China Grove right there.
Yeah, there you go, Doobie Brothers.
Yeah. All right. We're speaking with Chad Miller and Greg St. Aubin this morning. Chad is the manager of the Kankakee County Farm Bureau, and Greg is the new acting president of the Farm Bureau. Yes.
Hail to the chief.
Exactly. We have to be on our best behavior.
Yes, behave, Josh.
Exactly. All right. So, previously we were talking about marketing, what farmers do with marketing. Now, because, there's no harvest update and you're not really planting, what else are farmers doing right now on the farms?
Well, a lot of farmers are doing some maintenance on their equipment. They've got this pretty expensive investment in equipment. They use it pretty hard, and it's to their advantage to make sure that it's kept well, clean, maintenance, so that they can pull it out next year and go right away.
Yeah, it's not like you can afford a new combine every year.
Well,
yeah, some of that equipment, $400,000 plus for one piece of machinery. Like Greg said, you're darn well certain that farmers are going to make sure that that's clean, maintenance, fixed, repaired, given a good once over to make sure that everything's where it needs to be for next fall. Because during harvest, farmers are running that combine 14, 15 hours a day and night. So they're running that machinery hard. They're going to need to maintain that this time of year to make sure it's ready for next year.
Yeah, that's pricey equipment.
Yeah,
not like getting your oil changed.
Do combines, do they need oil changes?
Absolutely.
Wow, interesting.
Every 3,000 miles.
But yeah, those kind of things a lot of people don't think about. They might see the net assets of a farmer and think, "Holy smokes, that guy's rich." Well, it's all tied up in capital, in their farm equipment, their farm machinery. A tractor can cost $300,000, and then you got the combine, then you got the implements that the tractor pulls, and that's all got to be maintained and restored and upkeep. So yeah, a lot of stuff that farmers have as assets is tied up in capital expenses.
Sure, that makes sense.
It,
Yep. Anything else going on? Farmers right now doing anything else?
Well, I mentioned a lot of bookkeeping.
Okay.
Farmers are trying to track their expenses for last year's growing season, making sure that they know the real world cost of growing their crops, and then that feeds into the marketing. If they know that it costs X amount to raise corn on to raise a bushel of corn on 1 acre costs this amount. Well, if I can sell it for this amount, then I know I'm locking in a certain percentage of a profit. So doing the bookkeeping end, making sure they're doing their due diligence with their costs and expenses and how that feeds into the marketing scheme is very important. So I know a lot of farmers are doing their bookkeeping this time of the year. And then if farmers have sold grain, they're hauling grain right now that they harvested last fall. That's all stored in their grain bins, and if they're contracted to sell that, then they're hauling the grain to the grain elevators, which then feed it out to the rest of the world. So farmers are staying busy this time of the year, and then also they're looking at the seed varieties, their yields from last year. Maybe they had a real good corn variety that they want to look at growing again this year. While they're looking at where they can buy that, how many acres they want to grow, how many bags of seed they're going to need, and putting together their whole crop growing plan this time of year.
So farmers really don't get any time to rest during the year.
No, that's a misconception that farmers farm just 2 or 3 months of the year, but no, it's year round. And like Greg said, the marketing of a crop is almost an 18-month process because you're looking at selling the grain before you've grown it, and then after you've grown it, when it's in the bin, looking at what you can sell it for. So it's a year-round job, that's for sure.
Sure.
And then typically this time of the year, we've got a lot of different programs, meetings, banquets, seminars for farmers, and all that's taking place in a virtual type of world this time around. Usually in February, the Kankakee County Farm Bureau holds this local elected officials meeting for county government department heads, county government board members, and Farm Bureau leaders and these county government leaders get together and have a session where they talk about topics that are mutually of interest. That farmers are really interested in road improvements that are on the docket. Talking about other odds and ends that affect the farming community. This year, we're going to hold off on having that. A lot of the benefit of that local elected officials meeting with the Farm Bureau and the county government leaders comes from that in-person meeting and the connections you make in person. So we're going to hold off on that probably until we can get together in person. So that's going to be pushed off a little bit. The County Farm Bureau usually has their annual meeting banquet every year. This would be the 109th County Farm Bureau annual meeting. That would be in March. Again, probably not going to be able to have 100+ people all in one spot sharing a meal together. So we're looking at doing a virtual County Farm Bureau annual meeting that's looking to be Thursday, March 11th. And since it's not going to be an evening banquet, we're probably looking at doing an afternoon program where we're going to conduct our business and then move on and hope that we can get back together in person next year.
I was going to ask if we all had to make our own meals at home. Like the first hour is just us eating in front of the Zoom.
Yeah, right.
yeah, and then chew real loud, and then maybe doze off.
Mute your microphone, please.
Yeah, maybe doze off.
Yeah.
But no, I know every year, Joshua, you come to our County Farm Bureau annual meeting and provide coverage from the media aspect of it. And it usually starts off with a social hour, dinner, meal, and then we get to the business and have a featured speaker. We're really going to miss that this year. We're going to miss that camaraderie. But per our County Farm Bureau bylaws, we've got to conduct an annual meeting one way or the other. So it's probably going to be just a more condensed script handling the business end and some reports. But yeah, it's a different world.
I always liked the elected official one. I thought that was informative.
Yes, for sure. The county government board members who came, the county government department heads, a lot of times they didn't hear what other department heads had for an annual update. So it was great information shared and traded, and we're going to miss that for sure. Another set of activities we're missing out on due to COVID, our Young Leaders Committee. Always did a lot of consumer outreach, community service, a lot of social events, leadership development. They also worked with the area's youth, with the 4-H clubs and the FFA chapters. Obviously, a lot of that's in-person sort of activity that we just can't do right now due to COVID. So that's been a little bit on hold too. But the young leaders are still getting together to do some activities. Next Tuesday night, the Illinois Farm Bureau Governmental Affairs Committee is holding a session for young leaders. So we just pushed that out on the email yesterday to all of our Kankakee County Farm Bureau young leaders that that's a good opportunity for our younger folks in the ag industry to hear from the Illinois Farm Bureau Governmental Affairs Specialists. They're going to talk about post-election opportunities and concerns. They're going to talk about the farm economy and pathways to economic success for young farmers and their families. And also they're going to talk a little bit about Illinois Farm Bureau policies and engaging in that policy development on issues that are important to them. So that's going to be an opportunity. I know it's still missing that in-person contact. I know the young leaders like to have social events, barbecues, share a beer or two at the end of the meeting, but we're still trying to keep the group together one way or the other. So that activity's on the books for next Tuesday night.
Speaking of young people, I know we got you guys sent out the press release last month. Your scholarship, the scholarship applications are they now available?
Yes, they are now available for the 2021 graduating high school seniors, and then we've also got some other scholarships too for those continuing their education. Perhaps they didn't sign up for a scholarship as a high school senior. Maybe they changed their majors into an agriculturally related field, or maybe they're going back to school in an ag-related field. Then they can fill out an application for this continuing education scholarship. And then we've got another scholarship that's available to those that are maybe just taking one class or one program, one seminar. They can apply for a scholarship support through our Farm Bureau Foundation also. But for these high school seniors this year, these scholarship applications are due March 31st, so you got a couple months yet, but there's some criteria that they've got to meet. They've got to be a resident of Kankakee County or a Kankakee County Farm Bureau member family, and they have to be a high school senior accepted to an accredited post-secondary school in an agriculturally related field of study. So every year we get a few applicants that aren't necessarily in an ag-related field, and we've got to dismiss those, but these applicants must be in an ag-related field. And I mentioned a post-secondary school. Well, that could be a typical four-year university, community college, junior college, even diesel mechanics. John Deere's got a great school. It could be a trade school, but it's got to be in an ag-related field of study.
Okay.
So last year we had 11 scholarship recipients, which was our record, which was great. We had 6 high school seniors get us accepted as recipients, but then we also had 5 renewable scholarships. We've got a Kevin Yanka Memorial Renewable Scholarship that those that received the scholarship last year, they can submit an essay talking about their experiences at school, and then the Farm Bureau Foundation can choose them to receive this renewable scholarship.
Okay.
And we've got some great news. Last year we raised the high school senior scholarship from $1,000 each to $1,500 each. So we raised that, and we're continuing to have that $1,500 scholarship for this year's high school seniors. And then if they get a renewable scholarship in subsequent years, then that would also be at that $1,500 level. So the only way we're able to raise that scholarship amount is through all of our generous donors and contributors here in the local community. Around Thanksgiving, we sent out a letter to our donors saying, hey, we don't do any other fundraisers, no spaghetti dinners, no golf outings. This solicitation letter that we send out around Thanksgiving, that's their one and only time to give. And the community here is really, really generous. And we always set a target, and we've surpassed that target so far this year. And the generous donations continue to come in. So we're very, very grateful to our local community who supports our agriculture education efforts through our foundation. And again, I want to remind the high school seniors who are going into an agriculturally related field of study, talk to your ag advisors, your guidance counselors, call the Farm Bureau office, email us, find us on Facebook at the Kankakee County Farm Bureau Facebook page, and we can get you connected with an application. And again, those are due March 31st.
Awesome. Chad Miller, the manager of the Kankakee County Farm Bureau, and Greg St. Aubin, the acting president of the Farm Bureau. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. Is there anything else you gentlemen would like to add, mention?
Well, thanks again for having us. I always bring a few other odds and ends for some trivia. Another one that I wanted to mention, farmers use minimal or no-till practices on 72% of their farmland acres in Illinois. And the reason for doing that reduces the amount of tillage, and that helps preserve soil structure and minimizes soil disturbance, which can improve air and water quality. So we've got all kinds of examples of what farmers do here locally. More than 1 million acres of farmland in Illinois are put in this set-aside program to conserve wildlife, pollinators, and protect the most environmentally sensitive land. So I just want to make mention of that one more time, that farmers care greatly for their land. They're implementing a lot of environmentally friendly practices, and the Farm Bureau promotes those environmentally friendly practices.
Farmers are also conservationists.
Yes, most definitely.
Awesome. All right.
They started it.
Yeah. So, gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us. Greg, if you're looking for a campaign manager, I know a guy. So, yeah.
I don't know if I'm going to have much competition.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us
We
this
appreciate
morning,
it. Thanks.
and we'll talk to you next month, Chad. Okay.
All right, sounds great.
Thanks,
Thank you
guys.
again.
Thank you.
It is 8:36 on the Morning Roundtable. We got another break to take. News coming up. State newscast. The new Illinois House Speaker, Chris Welch, promises to possibly make a lot of changes to House rules. Also, in a local news, store is closing in Watseka, and then Jim and I will be back.